Everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're gonna do another one of our area highlights. And full disclosure, this is my favorite area of Colorado Springs. So if you wanna get another little area in-depth review and see what my favorite part of Colorado Springs is, definitely stay tuned. This one's for you. All right, everybody, before we jump right into what my favorite area of Colorado Springs is, let me take a quick minute just to remind everybody, our channel is all about Colorado Springs, the Pikes Peak area on the Colorado Front Range. So if it's an area you have interest in, if you're thinking about a potential move here, if you're just kind of doing some information gathering, whatever it is, definitely take the time, subscribe to our channel, hit the little bell so you get all the notifications. We're posting new videos every month, trying to put out as much information as we can to everybody that is interested in our area here in Colorado Springs. And also, if you are considering a move here and you want to take a look at what the housing situation is, we are licensed brokers. It's what we do every day, every week. That's what we do is we help families and individuals find homes, find the best part of town for them to live in. So if you have questions about that, please anytime call, text, email, whatever we can do to help you guys out. We want to make sure everyone's taken care of before you head this way. All right, so let's get into it. So my personal favorite part of the Colorado Springs Pikes Peak area and the area that we're going to focus on today is the Black Forest. So the Black Forest, we've talked about it a little bit in some of our other videos, but I want to do a little bit more in-depth on it today. So the Black Forest area is northeast of Colorado Springs. So Colorado Springs overall, it's kind of a high desert, arid environment. You know, we get moisture, obviously, snow, water in the different seasons, but it is technically a high desert. So it's a little bit more of an arid environment. So a lot of Colorado Springs is sparsely treed. And in town where there's a lot of development, you know, a lot of the trees have been taken out, or now the development has moved into where there weren't any trees to begin with. It was kind of just natural prairie. And those developments have started to plant a lot of trees. So if you get into downtown Colorado Springs, along the streams and creeks especially, you're going to see big mature trees, but there's nothing like the Black Forest area. The Black Forest is just a huge pine forest northeast of Colorado Springs. Personally, I think that it feels a lot more like you're in the mountains versus other parts of town, just because, again, you're in the middle of the pine forest. It's also a lot higher elevation too. So the Black Forest, it varies kind of from north to south, east to west, but the elevation probably tops out, I would say, close to 7,500 feet right along the Palmer Divide. So it is higher altitude than what downtown Colorado Springs. You're talking about a little over 6,000 feet in downtown Colorado Springs. So you're over 1,000 feet higher in the Black Forest. It's not like it sits way up on top of an obvious hill. It's just kind of more of a gentle gradient that goes up into the Black Forest area, again, northeast of town. So the Black Forest area, pine trees, a little bit higher elevation. What is it that people like about it? Like, what are the highlights of the Black Forest area? And it is a pretty broad area. You'll hear the term Black Forest get thrown around. Some people just consider it where there's a small community center, if you will, where original Black Forest back in the 1800s was kind of founded. And then you'll hear people talk about it, kind of the broader area of anything that's pine trees northeast of Colorado Springs is Black Forest. So there's not really I don't think, a real solid delineation of Black Forest. It's kind of just the treed area north of Colorado Springs. But some of the highlights that for me personally, again, are really important is the outdoor stuff. So unless you're going to be up in the mountains, up Ute Pass, kind of Woodland Park area like that, there's no other area quite like Black Forest as far as outdoor stuff. Like I said, again, you feel like you're in the mountains when you go outside. There's a lot of trails. There's two main open space and trail systems. I don't know if systems is the right word. There's actually three now. There's the Black Forest Regional Park, which has a ton of trails that go all throughout it. There's like a soccer field, kind of a big field people use for soccer, ultimate frisbee, all that kind of stuff. Playground for the kids. So Black Forest Regional Park is it's just a nice park to take your kids to go run the trails in. Another one is Section 16. It's a 4-mile loop. It's a mile square bordered by 4 different roads around that mile square. There's a trail that goes all the way around it, so it's about a 4-mile loop. That's a really great place to go run, walk the dog. You can ride horses there as well. And then there's a new place called Pineries Open Space, which has a trail system that goes around it. It's actually, it's El Paso County owned land, and it's bordered on part of it by land that's owned by the National Audubon Society. And there's about, I'd say there's an 8-mile loop, probably around 8 to 10 miles of trails in that area as well. So parks and trails, a big thing in the Black Forest area. If you are a horse lover or if you own horses and you're looking for a place in our area to move to, Black Forest is extremely popular for people that own horses, not only because of the larger lots and the fact that it's zoned for horses, but also because within Black Forest, within some different of the older communities, there are actually trails or easements that go through the communities where you can ride your horse on as well. And a lot of the homes back to those easements. So it's a pretty cool location from that standpoint as far as the parks and trails. We've kind of talked about this one a little bit already, but I got to highlight it. It's just the natural beauty. I mean, I don't think there's anything better than being in Colorado and being in the middle of the pine trees. You just feel like you're where Colorado, like what it's all about. So the natural beauty of the Black Forest is great. As like everywhere, there is some development going on in the Black Forest, but so far, the county's done a pretty good job of just kind of mandating how development happens in Black Forest. They're not clear cutting swaths of trees or anything like that. So it's been pretty well done. And honestly, there's not a lot of large tracts of land left in Black Forest as far as large enough for a developer to want to come in and buy, you know, maybe like 500 to 1,000 acres. There's a parcel, a new community, it's called Winsome, that's going in. And it was between 800 and 900 acres is what that parcel was that sold, but there's not a lot of those left. So the development it's kind of sporadic. There's not a lot of it. The development of Black Forest is really more individual lots, with people building custom homes on them, not huge developments like you see back towards Colorado Springs or kind of east of Colorado Springs, where it's just kind of just more open grassland. Those areas are where we're kind of seeing the more, I guess, dense development. And that's part of the county's plan too, so it makes sense. Let's see, another highlight is Black Forest. It is a broad area and there's a lot of homes, you know, on acreage and larger lots, but there is a kind of a central, I'm not going to call it a town. That's totally the wrong word for it, but there is a central Black Forest area where there is a little bit of commercial development. It's kind of where the original, like I said, from the late 1800s, Black Forest proper was founded. In that area right now, there's a pretty cool community center, log home looking community center that's there for people to use. There's the original Black Forest School is there. There's a barbecue place. Got to have a gas station, of course. There's 2 or 3 churches kind of right in that area, kind of that where those crossroads are. It's at the crossroads of Shoup and Black Forest Road. And then if you go just a little bit south to the next major intersection, you know, less than a mile away, probably about a half mile or so, at Burgess and Black Forest, there's a little commercial development where there's a brewery, Black Forest Brewing, which is really, really good. And there's a pizza shop, liquor store. You got to have a liquor store, right? And there's a couple bars there as well. So there's a little bit of kind of like a town center-ish place, if you will, within Black Forest. I think that's pretty cool too, just because, I mean, I live kind of on, I guess, I would kind of say the northern side of Black Forest, but I guess it's kind of the northern side of Black Forest in El Paso County. But you know, it's maybe 10 minutes from where I'm at. If I need to run to the gas station or whatever it might be, go grab a pizza, anything like that, it's about 10, not even 15 minutes away from the house. So that's a pretty nice, I think a really nice feature of Black Forest is that you do have just that tiny bit of commercial, so you don't have to drive the 15 to 20 minutes back into the north side of Colorado Springs. You could just go to the little convenience area there and you can pick up, you know, kind of the basics that you would need. If there's not a grocery store or anything like that. But anyway, there's a little bit of stuff there. And like I said, you'll see a lot of locals hang out at, especially Black Forest Brewing. They're, like I said, a really, really popular place for locals. So that's a cool little thing, is just that old historic Black Forest kind of hub, if you will, of where the original Black Forest area was founded at, or at least, you know, in the late 1800s. That's where the community center was developed. So just those are some cool things of kind of highlights of within the Black Forest area. Some pros and cons, and I think a lot of these would go probably in the pro column for some people and then in the con column for other people. It just depends on what you're looking for. So a big thing for a lot of folks that live in Black Forest is they want to kind of escape from the city. They kind of want to have more elbow room, more space around them. So they want to get out of kind of the regular subdivisions and out of downtown Colorado Springs, but they still want to be close. That was a big thing for my wife and I. We recently built a home in Black Forest on some acreage, and that was a big thing for us is, you know, especially with my job, I wanted to be close to town. I work all over El Paso County, so not being, you know, an hour outside of town wasn't very realistic for us. But I wanted to be somewhere where I was, you know, maybe 20 minutes from all the development that I could possibly want, any shops, restaurants, and that's where we're at. We're 20 minutes from that Northgate area, Interquest, where we've done a couple of videos on. I'm sure we'll do some more, but there's restaurants, shopping, whatever you want to do is kind of on that north end of town. So again, we're about 20 minutes from that, and a lot of Black Forest is much closer, like maybe 10 minutes, some of it even only 5 minutes from that major development on the north side of town. So, trying to escape the city a little bit, but still be close enough where you don't feel like you're out in the middle of nowhere. You can still be, in town in 20, 25 minutes. Downtown Colorado Springs from the Black Forest is 20 to 30 minutes, kind of depending on where you're at. So you're far enough away to feel like you have some room, but you're not too far away where you don't want to drive back to town or anything like that. Another big selling point for Black Forest and why a lot of people like the area is, like I've mentioned a couple times, is most of the homes are on acreage or larger lots. So what does that really look like? Most of the homes are at least an acre, and a vast majority of them are larger than an acre. I'd say 2.5 to 5 acre lots are kind of the average throughout Black Forest. It kind of depends on when the homes were built. Some of the newer developments within Black Forest are on 2.5 acre lots. The older homes that were built, maybe in like 60s, 70s, 80s, even 90s, a lot of those homes are on 5 acre lots. So you see a lot of 2.5 and a lot of 5 acre lots. You will see some areas throughout Black Forest where homes are on even larger lots, anywhere from that, I guess just north of 5, some 5, 10, 20, 40 acre lots. And then there's a few parcels that are individually owned that, upwards of 150 acres. And then, like I mentioned, there are still some ranches on the outskirts of Black Forest where there's a lot of grassland mixed with the trees, where those homesteads and those ranches are, several thousand acres. But for the most part, residential homes, you're kind of looking at that 2.5 to 5 acre lots. And that's a big draw of why people like it, is they want to be able to, maybe they want to park a boat, RV, whatever it is, and they don't want to have to pay to store it somewhere, or they don't want to be in a subdivision where they have to kind of add an extra garage onto the house to store it in. They want to be able to store it outside. Maybe they want to build a shop. They want to have, a little bit more space to do some hobby, some woodworking, mechanic work, whatever it might be. So a lot of people that move into Black Forest, the house is important, but equally as important is the shop or barn space for them as well. So that's a big thing, is just kind of having that larger lot acreage around you to kind of have a little bit more elbow room. Along with that, as you can imagine, probably from what I've said so far, it's a little bit more of a rural living feel. So I personally enjoy that myself. I definitely love to go. I love going to downtown Colorado Springs, love to go out for a nice meal, go out for a drink with friends. But for me, just my home, I kind of enjoy that rural setting. So, I come home at the end of the day and it's nice and peaceful, quiet. It's dark outside. There's not lights everywhere. So I think for a lot of people, that's a big pro, is just kind of that rural living setting. And I mentioned earlier the horses. That's another big thing for Black Forest, is a lot of folks that come to our area that either have a horse or two, or they're looking to get a horse. Black Forest it's a natural location for them, just because, again, a lot of people in the forest have horses. Most of the homes are set up on a large enough lot where you could have a horse, versus, being back like in Colorado Springs or right on the outskirts, real close to Colorado Springs. It's just very, very few and far between where you find properties that are zoned for horses that are closer into Colorado Springs. So either Black Forest or east of Colorado Springs, kind of where it's a little bit more grassland, plain area, is where you'll see folks that move to that have horses. So rural living, horses, animals, things like that, that's a big draw for the Black Forest area. Another reason I think that it's getting, not that it wasn't popular before, but it's becoming kind of more known, is that there are some housing opportunities in the Black Forest area. I mentioned the community earlier called Winsome. Winsome was about 8 or 900 acre part of a ranch that was sold off, and a developer purchased it. They're developing it. Those home sites are going to be 2.5 to 10 acres. Vast majority of them will be 2.5 acres, but a good bit of open space as well throughout the property. Trails to ride on, again, horses, or if you want to walk or jog, run. It'll have a good bit of open space in it. So some new construction opportunities. There really hasn't been a lot of true new construction opportunity in Black Forest proper for quite a few years. There's another development called Black Forest Reserve on the east. It's not really the eastern, it's kind of towards the eastern part of Black Forest. Again, it's a little bit nebulous what that term is, but Black Forest Reserve is an area that it was developed, I want to say probably started, maybe around 2004, maybe a little bit before that. And that community was largely built out, and there's maybe just a couple lots. And I think that last I looked, there might only be 1 or 2 lots where you can actually purchase a lot and build a custom home on it. There's some homes under construction in there right now. So there's just not a lot of opportunity to buy vacant land in a development and then have a home built on it. So that's why Winsome is kind of, I guess, rejuvenated. Just they're a big draw to the area overall to Colorado Springs. People want a little bit bigger property, and that's kind of the opportunity that Winsome brings to you. So that new construction part, that's a big thing. I think that has kind of rejuvenated parts of Black Forest. So there's always been a big draw for it. It's, it's kind of what they say in real estate, location, right? So they're not making any more land. Black Forest kind of, it's this area of the trees, and they're not just growing trees that fast. So that area is a set area, and all of it's been sold. So now it's just tough to get into the area. So anyway, just a little bit of its supply and demand as well with those homes in Black Forest. But that new construction piece kind of rejuvenated a little bit of people's desire to get into the Black Forest. All right, so let's talk about let's talk about housing. So housing prices in Black Forest, unfortunately, it's not the least expensive place to live. As you can imagine, we're talking about Colorado, we're talking about larger lots. Land has a lot of value to it. So land values have shot up drastically. After the Black Forest fire, which is in 2013, I believe, land value in the Black Forest it dipped really, really heavily. You could buy a 5-acre lot for, I don't know, I want to say less than $100,000 right after the Black Forest fire happened, for a fire damaged lot, but still 5 acres. People were just really hesitant to build in Black Forest again. People didn't know if people were going to rebuild back or if they were going to just move somewhere else and just sell their land. So the Black Forest fire was definitely pretty devastating to the housing in Black Forest. But now, fast forward almost 10 years later, it's crazy to say it's been almost 10 years since that happened, but 9 years later now, the land cost has just shot through the roof. So now a 5-acre lot, if one comes on the market, it's probably north of $300,000 for just the lot, totally undeveloped. And then build cost in Black Forest, build costs are more just because, again, it's not a development like a subdivision where production builders are going to come in and build, house after house, street after street. It's one-offs, right? So you have one individual has a 5-acre lot that they purchase and they want to have a house built on it. So they're going to hire a custom home builder to build that house. And custom home building prices now have went up a lot as well, just kind of the world we're living in. So now those custom home prices are $200 to way north of that, $200 a square foot. 200 is probably on the low end. I'd say probably $250 a square foot is more, I guess I don't want to say average, but probably a little bit more realistic. So, you kind of do the math on that. You want a 2,000 square foot house, it's obvious all of a sudden it's getting really expensive just for your house. And that's, most homes in Black Forest are going to be 4,000 plus square feet. That's, with the basement and the above grade footage as well, just to kind of put that in perspective. But so those housing costs have went up. So if you see a home that comes on the market and it's 5 acres and it's a 3,500 square foot house and it's in pretty good shape, you're probably going to be pushing 900,000 plus. So we have, I don't know how many clients we have. We probably have, I'd say maybe 6 or 7 clients they're active clients, but in no rush. So they're looking for something in Black Forest that meets their criteria and meets their price range. And those prices have just went up, and we've kind of seen them go up over the last couple of years pretty drastically. So now homes that, we were looking at trying to get somebody in for 700, now it's in the 7 figures, it's north of $1 million. So the prices in Black Forest have definitely went up a lot. So I guess if you were fortunate enough, years ago to purchase land in Black Forest and maybe you're looking to resell it, you could probably make a pretty good profit. If you're looking to move into the Black Forest from either somewhere else in Colorado, Colorado Springs maybe, or along the Denver Front Range, or coming in from out of state, just keep in the back of your mind that if you want to be in the Black Forest area, it is going to be a little bit pricier, definitely compared to other parts of town. But again, it's because you're going to be on a larger lot, you're going to be on some acreage. House may or may not be bigger than the ones in town, but you're definitely paying for the land, you're paying for the surrounding area, just kind of that, what all you can do in that rural environment. So that's a little bit about the housing. Like I mentioned, there are a couple developments within Black Forest. I mentioned Winsome, the new construction community, Black Forest Reserve, Cathedral Pines is another one, and High Forest Ranch. Those are kind of the 4 that I think about primarily. And also Flying Horse North, which we've talked about a little bit. That's a new development that's it's kind of up in the air exactly what that development's going to look like at the end of the day. But that's definitely in the trees in the Black Forest area. So there are some subdivisions, but a vast majority of Black Forest is larger rural lots. And again, the prices have just went up all over Colorado, but in Black Forest, they've definitely went up a lot over the last couple of years. So that's a little bit about the Black Forest area. Like I said, I'm a little bit biased because I live in the Black Forest. I just kind of see behind me maybe a little bit. It's kind of snowing today, but just nice pine tree setting, I'm just kind of working from home a little bit right now and just enjoying the peace and quiet of the Black Forest. So like I said, I'm biased, but of everything around the Colorado Springs area, it's definitely my favorite area. Definitely one that I encourage everyone. If any of those pros and cons that I mentioned, if those were more pros for you, definitely take a hard look at it. The Black Forest area is definitely a great place to be. Great sense of community as well with everybody that lives up in this area. So I can't say enough good things about it, but I know it's not for everybody as well. So if you'd like more information about the Black Forest area, whether it's housing or anything else, whatever it's related to, maybe, potential land opportunities to build something yourself on or whatever it might be, definitely take the time, call, text, email, hit us up in the comments down below. Do my very best to get back to everybody and just answer any questions you have whatsoever. And again, if this is good information, if you're thinking about the Colorado Springs area, definitely take the time, subscribe to the channel, hit the little bell so you get all the notifications, and we'll talk to everybody real soon.